When you think of drone delivery, it sounds like the future, and we've been hearing it for a while now. So why do you think it's not like as popularized or as mainstream as like I think it should be right now?
Great question. I think that was something like 2013, I believe Amazon announced it, and it's something that people have been kind of working on for the past decade, really. In 2019 was when Google Wing, which is like a subsidiary of Google, they had launched from their moonshot projects a drone delivery platform, and that has been successful in Australia, and they're coming to the States as well to do the deliveries. The main focus is because people are trying to deliver everything. So Amazon is trying to deliver, if you kind of saw downstairs at the front desk how many packages were waiting there and how many different sizes and weights there were, it's very difficult to design a drone that can deliver all of those packages. So you have to restrict the number of things that can be delivered by drone to a weight or volume. And so when you have both weight and volume involved, plus now you have distance, because the drones can't just fly 100 kilometers. Yeah. It also doesn't make sense. You don't want to pay $50 for a delivery. You just want to pay as little as possible.
Exactly.
So the goal is to minimize the weight and also minimize the distance. And so the way to do that has the most volume is food delivery. Mm-hmm. And so that is designed to be, most deliveries are like sub 5 kilometers. So for us, we're not restricting ourselves as much as many of the other companies are when they're trying to do like mail, for example. Mm-hmm. And so I think that is a big reason why drone delivery hasn't gone for the companies like Amazon, but it is coming. This year is going to be huge for it because a bunch of these regulatory approvals just got passed in many different countries around the world, especially in the States. And that's part of the reason why we're in San Francisco, to not only raise more money, but to actually launch and do projects with companies like Pizza.
Interesting. So in terms of like when you're food delivery, because from my perspective, it's like if I would get Uber Eats, and if it's like, so for me to get drone delivery, it would have to be cheaper or faster, yep. Right? So you'd have to compete on like quickness and convenience. So yep. Is that kind of like how you're structuring it, or how does that work?
Yes. I think that we're so early as well. There is a novel aspect as well that offsets. We did A/B testing, which is kind of seeing how much people would pay for the package. And we did free to $5 to $10 to $20 for a delivery. And it was very, very sticky regardless of what price that we picked.
Oh, okay.
We realized though that there's you can't charge $20 for a $50 order or something like that. So we had said, let's settle on $5 to $10 depending on the volume. And so for us, that was the sweet spot where that is roughly how much Uber Eats charges. In the long term, that was because our pilot was on the Toronto Islands. In the long term, we actually want to get that down to $1 or $2. And then you also don't have to tip. And so I think the focus for us is how can we do that and what deliveries can get us there. So the one that we just ordered for lunch there, it was like $60 for the 2 meals. And I think I paid like taxes, tips, and all this probably was an extra $25 in total.
Oh yeah, it's always like the way they design it, and you're like, okay, I'm willing to pay this, but at the last second,
snowing, and her scooter broke down, so now she had to walk, and it was an hour. And then the restaurant, it's like, how do they split the tip? So now I can't tip the restaurant or the driver,
and it's annoying.
Like, it's kind of annoying. Yeah,
it's really annoying. And the thing is, like, I noticed the closer you order, the slower it comes because they send the bike or the walker.
And then the restaurants are pissed because they have to write at the end of each month, they write these 20 to 30% checks to Uber, DoorDash, because that's the fee to participate off the top line. So how do they do that? They raise the prices. And so now all of a sudden you as the consumer go, what the hell is this? Everything's more expensive than if I were to walk in store. And so it adds these layers of friction that we're saying we want to take away those layers. We want to make it as easy as possible.
You explaining it that way, like, okay, like I get that. That totally makes sense because nothing pisses me off more is like when I'm ordering Uber, I'm like, okay, I'm okay to spend $25, but then it's like 45 because they make you, there's like the delivery fee and the extra fee and the tip. And I'm like, come on.
Yeah. You don't want to, and you want to tip these people that they're not making that much money.
Exactly.
So it's like, how do you now, it's a person is driving across town in a 2-ton vehicle to deliver a cheeseburger to you.
Yeah.
How does that make sense? In 2024, it doesn't. And
exactly.
So there are lots of companies that are trying to work on this by doing like things like batch ordering, which is great, but it still isn't super effective because you have a pickup truck delivering a burger. There's such a big disconnect where you're now adding to not only greenhouse gas emissions, the infrastructure strain. If you've ever tried driving in Toronto during rush hour, it's to get from here where we are in Yorkville to downtown, it could be up to half an hour. And we're in the downtown core. And so it's like, that is crazy. And so if we can have something that can kind of offset some of that, eventually maybe even to do our balcony over there, that would be ideal.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. So that's what we're building right now.